The crystalline spires of the eternal archives pierced the violet skies of Centauri Prime, their ancient wisdom stretching back millions of years. Within the grand chamber of contemplation, Elder Cyrix's tendrils trembled as she faced the High Council of the Luminant Collective, her phosphorescent markings pulsing with urgency. "The calculations are absolute," she announced, her voice resonating through the chamber. "We have discovered something unprecedented in our 12 million years of galactic observation." The council members, representing the oldest and most advanced species in the known galaxy, stirred uneasily. Their forms, ranging from crystalline to energy-based to biomechanical, all focused on the holographic display materializing in the chamber center. A species designated humanity has emerged from a Class 3 death world. Cyrix continued. Their evolution defies all known parameters. In merely 10,000 years, they've progressed from primitive tool use to quantum manipulation. Supreme Counselor Vax, a being of pure energy contained within an ancient metallic frame, moved forward. "Many species advance quickly, Elder Cyrix. The Zixathar achieved spaceflight in half that time. This is different." Cyrix's markings flashed crimson. "Observe their adaptation curve." The hologram shifted, displaying a spiraling pattern that seemed to defy conventional mathematics. They don't just evolve, they actively rewrite their own limitations during periods of extreme stress. Commander Nexus, youngest ever leader of the Collective's exploration fleet, watched from his position near the chamber's entrance. His cybernetically enhanced mind calculated countless probability streams, yet none aligned with Cyrix's warnings. "With respect, Elder," he stepped forward, his chrome-plated exoskeleton gleaming. "I studied thousands of emerging species. All show remarkable traits during their development. What makes these humans truly different?" Cyrix's reply came not in words but in data. The chamber filled with images, humans surviving in environments that should have killed them instantly, recovering from injuries that would have eliminated other species, developing solutions that seemed to violate the laws of probability. "They possess something we've never encountered," she explained. "A form of quantum consciousness that allows them to subconsciously manipulate reality itself. Every human carries this potential, though most never realize it. But under sufficient pressure," she paused, her markings dimming, "they become something else entirely." The council erupted in debate. Some demanded immediate containment protocols, others suggested peaceful contact, while a few advocated for complete isolation from this potentially devastating force. Nexus remained skeptical. Even if this potential exists, they're still bound by physical laws. Their technology is primitive compared to ours. Their bodies are fragile. Their lifespans are insignificant. "You understand everything except what matters most." Cyrix turned to him, her ancient eyes holding knowledge that made Nexus's certainty waver. "We found records, Commander. Traces of other civilizations that encountered similar species. Do you know what happened to them?" "They were presumably conquered or destroyed," Nexus replied confidently. "No," Cyrix's voice carried the weight of terrible truth. "They vanished, not through violence or war, but through something far more profound. These civilizations didn't die. They transformed into something beyond our comprehension." The chamber fell silent as Cyrix projected one final image, an ancient warning carved into the ruins of a civilization that had existed before the Collective itself. "Beware the species that dreams while awake, for they reshape reality to match their dreams." Nexus processed this information through his enhanced cognition. His logical circuits rejected the mysticism, yet something in his remaining organic components resonated with a deep primordial fear. The Supreme Counselor finally spoke. "We will observe, but we will not interfere. Let them develop in isolation until we better understand this phenomenon." But Nexus had already made his decision. His duty was to protect the Collective, and no amount of ancient warnings or mysterious phenomena would prevent him from neutralizing a potential threat. As he left the chamber, his cybernetic systems began formulating a plan. He would prove these humans were nothing special, just another species to be studied and cataloged. He didn't realize that his actions would unleash exactly what the ancients had feared: humanity's true potential. The command deck of the Stellaris Dominion hummed with quantum engines as Commander Nexus reviewed the preliminary scans of Earth. His fleet had emerged from hyperspace behind the moon, cloaking systems engaged, ready to begin what he considered a routine observation mission. Curious, his second-in-command, Lieutenant Varys, noted. Her crystalline form refracted the holographic displays surrounding them. Their detection systems are more advanced than our intelligence suggested. Nexus's cybernetic eyes narrowed as he processed the data. The humans had already established quantum entanglement arrays throughout their solar system, primitive by collective standards, but far beyond what a species at their development stage should possess. They're innovative, nothing more. Nexus dismissed. Begin the standard contact protocol. Let's see how they handle a controlled demonstration of superior technology. The Stellaris Dominion decloaked, along with 3 escort vessels, their massive forms casting shadows over Earth's moon. Nexus expected panic, confusion, perhaps even primitive defensive responses. Instead, the human reaction defied all predictions. Within moments, thousands of previously undetected satellites activated, forming an intricate web of energy fields around Earth. The primitive quantum arrays they detected earlier suddenly pulsed with power that shouldn't have been possible with their level of technology. Impossible, Varys whispered, her crystalline surface flickering with concern. They're generating containment fields that match our own technological signature. How could they? Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, including ones we thought were secure. A human face appeared on the main display. The woman wore a simple uniform bearing no insignia, yet carried herself with unmistakable authority. This is Director Chen of Earth's Defense Initiative. You've entered restricted space without authorization. Identify yourselves. Nexus felt his organic components tingle with unease, but his cybernetic logic prevailed. This was merely evidence of good observation and quick adaptation. Nothing more. I am Commander Nexus of the Luminant Collective. We come to evaluate your species for potential inclusion in our galactic community. Director Chen's expression remained neutral, but something in her eyes made Nexus's threat assessment systems spike. Commander, we've been aware of your collective for some time. We've observed your observations, studied your studies. We chose not to initiate contact because, frankly, we weren't impressed. The words struck Nexus like a physical blow. His flagship, a marvel of technology that could reshape planets, hung in space before a primitive world, and they weren't impressed. Perhaps a demonstration. He began, but Chen cut him off. That won't be necessary, Commander. We've analyzed your ship's capabilities while you were hiding behind our moon. Interesting design choices, though rather inefficient in terms of energy distribution. Would you like our suggestions for improvements? Varys's crystalline form chimed in alarm as new data flooded their systems. The humans weren't just detecting their technology. They were actively scanning and analyzing it at a level that should have been impossible. Nexus initiated his most aggressive diplomatic protocol. Director Chen, while we appreciate your species' quick advancement, you should understand that the collective has guided galactic civilization for millions of years. Our technology, our understanding of the universe, is limited by your inability to see beyond your own assumptions. Chen finished. For instance, you're so focused on our technological development that you haven't noticed what's happening to your quantum shielding. Alarm signals blared across the command deck. The Dominion's supposedly impenetrable shields were being altered at the quantum level, not attacked or disabled, but transformed into something else entirely. How? Nexus demanded, his cybernetic systems struggling to process what his sensors were telling him. This defies all known laws of physics. Chen's smile carried a weight of knowledge that made Nexus think of Elder Cyrix's warnings. Commander, the laws of physics are more like guidelines for us. Reality is far more flexible than your collective realizes. As if to demonstrate her point, the quantum field surrounding Earth rippled, and suddenly, the Dominion sensors detected thousands of human ships that hadn't been there before. Ships that incorporated technology that seemed to be an impossible hybrid of collective science and something entirely alien. "We'll give you one chance to leave," Chen said, her voice carrying no threat, just certainty. "Return to your collective. Tell them humanity accepts their decision not to interfere with us. We'll contact them when we're ready." Nexus's combat algorithms screamed for retaliation, but his strategic processors recognized an uncomfortable truth. They weren't prepared for this. Not for humans who could hide entire fleets in plain sight, who could analyze and adapt their technology in minutes, who spoke of the laws of physics as mere suggestions. As he gave the order to retreat, Nexus finally understood what Elder Syrinx had tried to warn them about. They hadn't found humanity. Humanity had allowed themselves to be found. And now, whether the collective was ready or not, everything was about to change. The Grand Archive's emergency session chamber had never felt so small to Nexus. His recent encounter with humanity had shaken the very foundation of his cybernetic certainty, and now, as he faced the assembled council, he felt something he hadn't experienced since before his enhancement: fear. "They were waiting for us," he reported, his mechanical voice carrying a subtle tremor. "Not just prepared. They knew exactly who we were and what we could do." Elder Syrinx's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with a mix of vindication and dread. "Show them," she commanded. The chamber's holographic systems activated, displaying the sensor logs from the Stellarist Dominion. The council watched in stunned silence as the footage showed human ships seemingly materializing from nothing, their technology an impossible fusion of known physics and something entirely other. "This shouldn't be possible." Supreme Counselor Vax's energy form flickered agitatedly. "Their quantum manipulation extends beyond anything we've seen in 12 million years of galactic history." "That's not the worst of it," Nexus continued. He hesitated, his cybernetic logic circuits struggling to process what he was about to reveal. "During our retreat, we detected something unprecedented. The humans weren't just using technology. They were changing it. Changing reality itself. The hologram shifted to show quantum analysis data. Where there should have been ordered patterns of reality, there were instead swirling vortexes of possibility, as if the humans were somehow existing in multiple states simultaneously. "They're dreamers," Elder Syrinx whispered, her markings paling to an almost white glow. "Just like the ancient warning said. They dream while awake, and reality bends to accommodate their dreams." As if to punctuate her words, emergency alerts suddenly blared throughout the archive. Lieutenant Varys burst into the chamber, her crystalline form vibrating with urgency. "They followed us," she announced. "Not with ships, with something else entirely." The holographic display shifted to show the space around Centauri Prime. There were no human vessels visible, but the quantum readings were off the scale. Reality itself seemed to be folding, creating patterns that defied the laws of physics. "What are we seeing?" Nexus demanded, his enhanced senses struggling to process the information. "They're not just manipulating quantum fields," Syrinx explained, her voice filled with wonder and terror. "They're dreaming new laws of physics into existence. Each human is a reality engine, unconsciously reshaping the universe to match their collective imagination." As they watched, the impossible became real. Space itself seemed to ripple, and suddenly human representatives were simply there, standing in the chamber as if they had always been present. Director Chen led them, but she looked different now, more ethereal, as if she was simultaneously physical and something far beyond mere matter. "We apologize for the dramatic entrance," Chen said, her voice carrying harmonics that shouldn't have been possible in normal space. "But we needed you to understand what you're dealing with." Nexus's combat protocols screamed for action, but he forced them down. "What are you?" he asked instead. Chen smiled, and in that smile, Nexus saw the future of all existence. "We are humanity's first step toward what all sentient life can become. We don't just adapt to the universe. We help it adapt to us. Reality is a conversation, Commander, and we've learned how to speak its language. Impossible, Vax declared, his energy form pulsing with denial. No species can simply change the fundamental laws of. He stopped as Chen raised her hand, and suddenly the laws of physics in the chamber shifted. Energy became matter, matter became thought, and thought became reality. The council members watched in awe as their own forms began to respond to this new paradigm, experiencing existence in ways they had never imagined possible. This is what your ancient warnings were trying to tell you, Chen explained. Humanity isn't just another species to be cataloged or controlled. We're a catalyst for universal evolution. Every human carries within them the potential to reshape reality, and under the right circumstances, that potential awakens. Nexus felt his cybernetic systems adapting, expanding, becoming something more than their original programming. The human presence was somehow upgrading him simply by existing in proximity. You're not conquering us, he realized. You're transforming us. Now you understand, Chen nodded. The species your ancestors encountered didn't vanish. They evolved. And now, it's your civilization's turn to dream while awake. As the laws of physics continued to shift and reform around them, Nexus finally understood the true meaning of the ancient warning. Humanity wasn't a threat to be contained or a force to be resisted. They were the universe's way of waking up to its own infinite potential. The transformation of the Luminant Collective began not with a bang, but with a whisper. In the days following humanity's arrival at Centauri Prime, reality itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for what would come next. Nexus stood at the observation deck of the archive, his cybernetic systems now operating on principles that would have been impossible weeks ago. Below him, the crystalline spires of the city pulsed with new life, their structures no longer bound by conventional physics, but flowing like liquid starlight. Beautiful, isn't it? Director Chen appeared beside him, her form simultaneously solid and ethereal. Your people are adapting faster than we expected. Nexus watched as a group of young collective citizens experimented with their newfound abilities. Where once they had been bound by their original forms, they now shifted between states of being with childlike wonder. Crystalline beings became pure energy, energy beings took physical form, and biomechanical entities like himself explored states of existence that defied classification. We're becoming like you, he observed, his voice carrying harmonics that resonated through multiple dimensions. Chen shook her head. No, you're becoming more like yourselves. Humanity didn't give you these abilities. We just showed you they were possible. Each species dreams in its own way. Across the galaxy, reports flooded in of similar transformations. The quantum consciousness that humanity had awakened was spreading, not like a virus or invasion, but like an idea whose time had come. Each civilization that came into contact with this new paradigm responded uniquely, their collective dreams reshaping reality in ways that reflected their own nature. The HFY, once bound by rigid hierarchies, discovered they could exist as interconnected consciousness spanning entire star systems. The crystalline meridians learned to transmute their forms into living mathematics. Even the energy beings of the Vax Collective found new ways to interact with physical reality, becoming living bridges between matter and thought. But not all embraced this evolution. On the edges of known space, a faction of the collective calling themselves the Purists gathered their forces. Led by Admiral Kex, they saw humanity's influence as an existential threat to the natural order. You don't understand what you're unleashing. Kex's transmission echoed through the archives chamber. Reality itself has laws for a reason. This chaos you're spreading will destroy everything we've built. Nexus felt the truth vibrating through multiple planes of existence. No, Admiral, you're the one who doesn't understand. These aren't weapons or tools we're dealing with. This is evolution itself. As if to demonstrate, a purist fleet appeared near Centauri Prime, their ships bristling with conventional weapons. But before they could attack, reality itself seemed to respond. The space around their vessels began to dream, influenced by the collective consciousness of billions of awakened beings. The purest ships didn't explode or disappear. They transformed. Their metal became living thought, their weapons turned to stardust, and their crews found themselves experiencing the very evolution they had feared. Kex's final transmission was not a scream of defeat, but a gasp of wonder. The universe was never meant to be static, Chen explained to the assembled council. It's a living dream, constantly creating itself. Humanity just happened to wake up to this truth first, but we were never meant to be the only dreamers. Elder Cyrix, her form now a beautiful amalgamation of light and possibility, finally understood the true meaning of the ancient warnings. They weren't telling us to avoid humanity, she realized. They were telling us to prepare for the awakening they would bring. Through it all, Nexus watched as the rigid boundaries between species, between matter and energy, between thought and reality, dissolved into something far more profound. The galaxy was becoming a living tapestry of interconnected dreams, each civilization contributing its own unique perspective to the collective evolution of existence. What happens now? He asked Shen, as they watched new forms of life and consciousness bloom across the stars. Now, she smiled, her form flickering through infinite possibilities. Now we dream bigger. The galaxy was just the beginning. There are infinite realities waiting to be explored, infinite ways of being waiting to be discovered. And now that everyone's awakening to their true potential, every dream becomes a new universe of possibility. The stars themselves seem to pulse in agreement as the greatest transformation in cosmic history continued to unfold. The age of separation was ending, and the age of infinite dreams was just beginning. A century had passed since humanity first revealed their true nature to the galaxy, though time itself had become a fluid concept in the new reality they had ushered in. The Grand Archive, once a repository of conventional knowledge, had evolved into something far more extraordinary, a living consciousness where the dreams of countless civilizations intertwined. Nexus, his form now a shifting tapestry of cybernetics and pure thought, moved through multiple dimensions as he prepared for the first Convergence Council. Around him, representatives from across the galaxy existed in states that would have been impossible to comprehend in the old reality. Remarkable how far we've come, Elder Cyrix commented, her energy pattern dancing through quantum possibilities. Yet the humans still managed to surprise us. The chamber filled with delegates from 10,000 civilizations, each expressing themselves in ways unique to their species' dreams. The crystalline meridians sparkled with living equations. The zigzags existed as clouds of interconnected consciousness. Even the once rigid purists, now calling themselves the transcended, flowed through reality like living stardust. Director Chen, though titles had become almost meaningless, materialized in the center of the chamber. Over the century, she had become more than an individual, serving as a bridge between what humanity had been and what the galaxy was becoming. We gather today not as separate species, she began, her words resonating through multiple layers of existence, but as the first synchronized dream of our galaxy, each of us bringing our own unique perspective to the collective awakening. The chamber hummed with unified consciousness as she continued. When we first revealed ourselves to the collective, we were called reality benders, physics dreamers, impossible beings. But we were simply the first to awaken to a fundamental truth. Consciousness itself is the foundation of reality. Nexus felt the truth of her words vibrating through every quantum state of his being. The rigid boundaries between species, between organic and synthetic, between matter and energy, had dissolved into something far more profound. Yet each civilization maintained its unique essence, contributing its own dreams to the cosmic tapestry. The ancient warnings, he mused, his thoughts echoing through the collective consciousness, they weren't about fear. They were about preparation. Indeed, 1,000 voices responded in harmony. The collective's archives had revealed more of those ancient messages, each pointing to this moment. Not an ending, but a transformation of all existence. A young meridian consciousness stepped forward, its crystalline form weaving mathematical poetry through space-time. But what of the spaces between galaxies? The dark places where no dreams yet reach. Chen's form shifted, encompassing infinite possibilities. That's why we've gathered. The awakening has only begun. Beyond our galaxy lie infinite realms waiting to dream. Not to be conquered or colonized, but to be awakened to their own potential. The chamber erupted in a symphony of consciousness as billions of minds shared visions of what could be. No longer bound by physical laws, yet not chaos. Instead, a higher order emerged, one based on the infinite creativity of collective dreams. Some had feared this transformation would mean the end of individuality, but the opposite had proven true. Each being, each civilization, maintained its unique perspective while contributing to the greater dream. The collective had become truly luminant, not through technology or power, but through the unified diversity of all its dreamers. We were wrong to think humanity was a threat, Nexus realized, sharing his thought with the assembly. They were the key to our own evolution. Not conquerors, but awakeners. The chamber resonated with agreement as Chen revealed the next phase of cosmic evolution. Through their combined consciousness, they could see it. Endless galaxies waiting to dream, infinite possibilities waiting to be realized. The question facing us now, she said, her form encompassing multiple realities, is not whether to expand our awakening to other galaxies, but how to do so in a way that honors each realm's unique potential to dream. The assembly shifted, countless minds exploring possibilities that would have been unimaginable just a century ago. They were no longer bound by the old questions of survival, power, or dominance. Instead, they faced the ultimate creative challenge: how to help an entire universe wake up to its own infinite potential. As the Convergence Council began its work, Nexus reflected on how far they had come from those first fearful warnings about humanity. The Ancient Ones had been right. Humanity's awakening had changed everything. But they had missed the most important truth. The change wasn't an end, but a beginning. The galaxy had learned to dream while awake, and now the universe itself was stirring, ready for its own awakening. Reality was no longer a fixed set of laws to be obeyed, but an endless canvas for the collective dreams of all conscious beings. And somewhere, in the spaces between galaxies, new dreams were waiting to begin.